In the state of Virginia, we had a dramatic showdown on Friday. Lisa Lucas went down to the West Virginia Assembly and she gave them a piece of her mind. And it was actually a very simple gesture. She just started reading their donor names. And of course, they shut her down. And Lisa joins us now on Rebel Headquarters. How are you?
Hi, Cenk. It's nice to speak with you.
Great to have you here. Like I said earlier on the Young Turks, I already called you an American hero. I'm probably going to do it a couple more times. Before we get to that, before we get to what you're campaigning on, which is also very interesting, I do want to show, in case some of the audience didn't see it, a small portion of that showdown in West Virginia, and then we'll talk about it. Let's watch here.
His money comes. First energy, next care energy. I want to finish. Drag me off.
And they did. They dragged you off. So, what was so offensive about what you were saying at the West Virginia House of Delegates there?
I was trying to suggest that perhaps the delegates who are taking that kind of money from the industry should recuse themselves on these industry bills.
Wow. And did you yell at them?
No.
Did you personally insult them in any way?
I simply read off data from their own campaign finance reporting.
If they were so deeply offended that you reading the money that they had taken from corporate interests, what do you think would have been the logical thing for them to do?
Not take the money.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? And but yet they decided, no, they're going to take the money. They're going to keep the money. They're going to vote on that bill that affects the people that they took the money from. But they're just going to kick you out. Problem solved. And they cut your mic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well,
you know, look, Lisa, I love what you did, and I read that you say you're an introvert, but you gathered up the courage to do that anyway. I love that even more because that means you're a true fighter. But I think like there's some chance you should go further. I mean, they physically assaulted you there. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. They didn't, but no, they did. They pushed you.
The guards were extremely professional. They could have escalated things and they didn't. They were very nice guys. I sat and talked to them for maybe 30 minutes. I mean, little thinking, but 30 minutes before the paperwork came out where you could sign up for a speaking slot. And I hold no ill will against them at all. I actually felt bad. I felt as if I had probably given them a terrible morning.
Yeah, but listen, they gave us a terrible morning. And look, I know the guards are doing their job.
Not the guards.
Yeah, no, I know. Look, the guards are doing their job, and you're a wonderful person for looking out for their interests when they were pushing you around. But it's not a good job to physically remove citizens from their own, legislatures. You guys are supposed to be in charge. So anyway, but the guards are a minor issue. The legislators are the real problem here. And if they can't take the heat of just simply reading their donors, then maybe they shouldn't have the donors, which is exactly your point. What were you doing? Like, what's your job before you decided you were frustrated about money in politics? You did this, now you're going to run for office. But what's your day job?
I work for a company that provides rare breed chickens and designer chickens and chicken diapers. I wrote a book called The My Pet Chicken Handbook. It's a strange, I suppose, job, but basically I got to work online and take egg gathering breaks and garden and compost chicken poo, and it was paradise.
I don't know about paradise, but look, I didn't know that. I saw some of the things that you've done in the past, but I didn't know that that's what you were working on now. But you know why you do that? Because you're a real person with a real job, and that's what we all have to do. And so what I love about Rebel Headquarters is that we have real people running for office, and it seems so foreign. Like the rest of the media is like, that's so weird. Real people instead of millionaires running for office, it doesn't compute for them. Yeah, so, okay, so you're doing your job, and I see the other things that you worked on, taught English in China, dug up dinosaur bones in Utah, worked at a local paper, a national window manufacturer. Like any American, I mean, those slightly more interesting jobs than maybe the average cat, but it makes sense. And so, as you're doing all that, what animated you about money and politics?
I think probably just the fear of the invasion, because I live in the middle of the Marcellus Shale. It's a very beautiful area, and we've had gas and oil for many years. Most people in my area are grateful for gas and oil. They're not opposed to drilling, but they want to be able to determine what contract they want, what the lease terms will be, where the well pads will be, what kind of royalty they want, or if they want a bigger upfront bonus. And that's reasonable for them to determine that with their own property. And the corporations don't want to have to pay the kind of money maybe that they're asking, or they don't want to, say, have to put an access road in that costs more than the one they'd like to put in through someone's hunting field. It's just a matter of property rights.
So there's two issues there, right? One is the property rights issue, and on that issue, that is arguably equally liberal and conservative. In fact, at the national level, I think conservatives have fought even harder for those property rights. So if the people in the House of Delegates represented their conservative and progressive and moderate citizens, wouldn't they be for more property rights, not less?
Yeah, and there have been Republicans in the West Virginia legislature, particularly the Freedom Caucus, the kind of libertarian leaners, who have been fighting against bills like this and fighting for property rights right along with some Democrats. And there have been some Democrats who are taking that money and voting the wrong way, along with some Republicans. So it's not a party issue at all. It's a matter of, it's not Republicans versus Democrats, it's more corporations versus the rest of us.
Say it ain't so. Democrats taking money and doing what the corporations ask them to do. And I would never hear of such things.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Never heard that before, I'm sure.
Right. Well, the second issue is the clean water. It's the same thing that Paul Gene Swearengin is running on against Joe Manchin. And it seems to me, again, a fairly benign request to say, can we have jobs and not poison our children at the same time? And it seems like a lot of times the guys backed by corporations, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, go, no, you got to pick one or the other. So, to what degree has your message of we can also have clean water and jobs resonated in West Virginia? How frustrated are people by that?
Well, I have canvassed a lot in my rural district, and that clean water is the biggest issue. When I ask people, I tend to ask, I'm kind of stupid. I started out with this like long 20-question questionnaire, which was ridiculous. But I quickly learned my lesson and I got it down to one question. And the question is, if you could have your delegate working for one thing, what would that one most important thing be? And the answer most often is clean water. And it's not necessarily an issue of the extraction when they're talking about that. It's the fact that some places in West Virginia have basically Civil War era public water systems. And I have a friend who was a city councilor for a small local town of about 300 people. And he told me that the job of the city council was to get in a wet hole in all weather and try to fix pipes. And that was their job. They got paid $25 a month. And these are old retired guys a lot of times, just trying to keep the town going because there's nothing else for it, You said
$25 a month. Do you mean $25 an hour?
I mean $25 a month, and the mayor gets $100 a month.
Jesus. Okay. Man, West Virginia is as real as a heart attack. So look, you, Lisa, like everyone I've talked to, the candidates from West Virginia don't fall neatly into buckets, Democrat, Republican, etc. And so you're a big believer in constitutional rights. What does that encompass for you?
I just think that you should be able to do what you want as long as it doesn't interfere with someone else's trip.
How's that for simple? Okay. All right. I got to ask you one last thing here as we run way over time, but how often do I get to talk to an American hero? You've got women's issues here on your list, but you also have men's issues on your list of priorities.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think in that regard, I talk about parental rights. West Virginia has some problems with the family court system, and this has traditionally been seen as a men's issue, although I see it more as again, a parental rights issue, where I think men have been often in the past the non-custodial parent, and so they don't often get as many rights to see their children as they should. So to me, I want to equal that out.
Yeah, it's near impossible not to like you, Lissa. Okay, so everybody, here's all the links and how you could help her. There's the website, you should check it out. I love the headline on the website, "A holler from a holler." I can't get enough of that. And then
that's what I did.
That's right. That's exactly what you did on Friday. And then there's the donation link and of course the volunteer link. And all those will be down below. If you're watching on YouTube, just click on the links. On Facebook, it'll be in the comments section. Go help a sister out and bring democracy back. You want uncorrupted politicians? Then work for them, volunteer for them, donate for them, fight for them. And you're looking at one right there. So, Lissa Lucas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Cenk.
All right. Man, that warms my heart, man. We keep fighting, we're gonna win. You just gotta get in there and fight, just like she did.